Android users say they don't care about Apple, but science says they're lying. A bunch of liar-betics with liar-beaties. And this is done based on a study by a neuroscientist named Michael Platt. So he studied Apple and Android users by showing them positive, neutral, and negative news about their brand and the rival. And then he scanned their brains, and what he found is that Apple users didn't claim to care much about Android, and their brain scans back this up. Regardless of positive or negative or neutral news, they stayed pretty indifferent. But Android users, on the other hand, they claim they didn't care about Apple, but their brain scans showed something else.
Samsung customers, it seems, from their brain data, are only buying Samsung because they hate Apple.
They didn't react much to positive or neutral Android news, okay? But their brains lit up like little Christmas trees when they saw bad news about Apple. They were emotionally invested in rejecting Apple, even though they didn't realize it. And this is how your brain gets hijacked by brands. Notice while I was editing that most of the time I'm saying Android in this video. The actual study was done on Samsung versus Apple. It's ultimately the same result, and the reason that they used Samsung for the study was because the Android market itself is very fragmented. The concept itself applies broadly to Android users. Your brain loves alliances. Is wired to create loyalty and to reject outsiders. It's an old survival mechanism from when we were lizards. When you pick a brand, you're not just buying a product, you're picking your side. It almost becomes like part of your identity and something that you feel like you need to defend. Apple sells a lifestyle. Buying it feels kind of like an entrance to that creative club.
Apple has been telling you this story over and over again. Apple is the brand for hip, cool, fun, creative people.
But Android marketing is built on opposition. Research shows that tons of Android users buy Android not because they love Android, but just because it's not Apple, and they don't want what Apple stands for. And yeah, at one point it was a features thing. Android users liked that the phone was more customizable.
And you see right there it says Android version. Just tap the daylights out of it. Boom.
But it's not about features anymore, it's about identity. It's about your association, your affiliation, and what your choice between Android or Apple says about you. Apple makes you feel like you're part of something. Android makes you feel like rejecting that thing that Apple is makes you smarter, more logical, and a free thinker. But this is where things get a lot more interesting because Platt's research found that most Android buyers do not buy it for the love of Android anymore. They buy it for the love of rejecting Apple. And think about it, Android phone brands spend a lot of time trying to convince people that they're different from Apple. Like the Simon Says ad that we've all been seeing recently spends a lot of time making fun of Apple users rather than showing off the Android phone.
Simon Says, upgrade. Again.
What's new? Who cares?
Here's what's really fascinating is Apple users don't spend a whole lot of their time thinking about this. They're just kind of using their phones. Android users spend a lot of time sticking up for their decisions. And all of this is a dead giveaway that they do care a lot about not being seen as an Apple user. And this entire dynamic is all engineered to reinforce loyalty on both sides. Nobody is innocent here. Because when a brand hits you in your emotions, they've got you. Brands want you so attached to them that you will defend and buy even when it stops making sense for you.